Chapter 1.2 Understanding the Provincial Government. Unlike the United States of America, in which the federal authority presides over 50 states that are generally uniform in government and in organization, the Roman Empire was a miscellany of independent cities, states, and territories, all of which were subject to the central government. Some of them had become part of the empire by voluntary alliance. Others had been annexed by conquest. As Rome extended its sovereignty over these allied or subject peoples, its governmental machinery grew also into the Roman provincial system. The word provincia, from which province is derived, meant originally the office of carrying on war, or a post of command. As applied to the authority of a general, it was extended to the sphere of his authority, and hence to the territory that he conquered, which when Rome conquered new domains, they were organized into provinces which became part of the general imperial system. Rome's acquisition of provinces began with Sicily, which was taken from Carthage in the First Punic War, 264 to 241 BC. In succession she added Sardinia, 237 BC, two provinces in Spain, 197 BC, Macedonia, 146 BC, and Africa, 146 BC, became his provincia. Asia was not taken by force of arms, but was bequeathed to the Roman people by its king in 133 BC, and was organized as a province in 129 BC. Transalpine and Cisalpine Gaul were added about 118 BC. Cyrene was bequeathed to Rome in 96 BC, and Bithynia was also presented to Rome. He took over Palestine and made it into the province of Syria. Except for Italy itself, the bulk of the Roman world consisted of territory under provincial government. This government was of two kinds. The provinces that were relatively peaceful and loyal to Rome were under proconsuls, Acts 13-7, who were responsible to the Roman Senate. The more turbulent provinces were under the authority of the emperor, who often stationed armies in them, and they were governed by prefects, procurators, or propraetors who were appointed by the emperor and who were answerable directly to him. To the former class belonged Achaia, of which Gallio was proconsul at the time of Paul's visit, 1812. Palestine in the time of Christ was under the supervision of the emperor, whose agent was the procurator Pontius Pilate. Matt. 27-11, translated, governor. Proconsuls held their office by annual appointment and were generally changed every year. Procurators and propraetors held office as long as the emperor wanted them at a given post. Under the administration of these offices the provinces enjoyed considerable liberty. The individual city-states were permitted to retain their own local sovereignty and even to mint coins. The Romans never interfered with the religious freedom of the subject peoples, so that the indigenous worship was customarily retained in each place. The Roman rulers usually took the advice of the provincial councils in their administration. Officials who plundered their subjects were liable to prosecution and recall. Although it is true that some of the proconsuls and procurators indulged in the tame-honored pastime of graft, the majority probably gave more to the provinces in administrative wisdom than they took out in money. Roads were constructed, public edifices were erected, and commerce was developed rapidly. In order to unite the provinces more closely with the mother city of Rome, little settlements of Romans were begun at strategic centers in the provinces. Gradually the Roman civilization spread, so that in time the provinces became more Roman than Rome. In the 2nd century, when Rome still used Greek as its predominant language, Gaul, Spain, and Africa were predominantly Latin. The imperial cult had its widest following in the provinces. The worship of the Roman state and of the reigning emperor began with Augustus. He ordered that temples be erected to the honor of Julius Caesar at Ephesus and at Nicaea by the citizens of Rome who resided there, and he permitted the nationals of the country to establish shrines in his own honor. The worship of the state was fostered by the local councils, who assumed the responsibility of directing the provincial worship. A good illustration of a provincial council appears in Acts 19:31, where the Asiarchs are mentioned. They were magistrates who were regarded as the responsible leaders of the province and who may have served as high priests of the state worship. In Acts they were represented as friendly to Paul, since they warned him against exposing himself to the violence of the multitude in the theater. The Roman provinces which appear in the New Testament are Spain, Romans 15:24, Gaul, 2 Timothy 4:10, variant reading, Illyricum, Romans 15:19, Macedonia, Acts 16-9, Achaia, Romans 15:26, Asia, Acts 20-4, Pontus, I Peter 1-1, Bithynia, Acts 16-7, Galatia, Galatians 1-2, Cappadocia, IP to 1:1, Cilicia, Galatia 1:21, Acts 6-9, Syria, Galatians 1:21, Judea, Galatians 1:22, Cyprus, Acts 13-4, Pamphylia, Acts 13:13, and Galatia, Acts 27-5. Some of these are mentioned more than once, and in the case of Illyricum, its later name, Dalmatia, appears in the pastoral epistles, 2 Tim. 4:10. Paul usually employed provincial names in alluding to divisions of the empire, while Luke used also national divisions. Provinces often included more than one ethnic group, such as the Lycaonians of Lystra and Derbe, Acts 14-6, 11, who were under the province of Galatia. Governorship of the provinces was sought by public officials because they found it a fruitful source of income. So rapacious were some of these rulers that the provinces were rapidly impoverished by heavy taxation. Others who were more public-spirited made wise use of the taxes by building roads and harbors, so that commerce throve and the general economic level of life improved. Rome regarded the provinces as her rightful field of exploitation. Until the time of Constantine they were tributary to the central government and never were treated as equal states within a common federation.